As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale. Having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
Yeah, he's talking about us, by the way. That's Mark Carney talking about Canada being for sale because, of course, this all ties into Donald Trump's annexation, 51st state, which you went on about again yesterday. Look, at the end of the day here, you sometimes have to wonder, perspective is very different, right? We here consider this, I think fair to say most Canadians, a bit of an insult in talking about a sovereign nation and you wanting to annex it. But, we keep hearing that Americans, or at least depending on what party you belong to, maybe Republicans don't take this the same way as Democrats, which brings us to our next story. Scott Clement is polling director for the Washington Post. He is on the line because there's a new ABC News Ipsos poll, 2,400 Americans surveyed here. And Scott, I'll ask you to basically break it down if you can. First of all, with respect to party lines, if I can put it that way, did you see a big discrepancy? Do we see one?
Yes, thanks for having me. There's two questions we basically asked. Was whether people think Trump is serious about the idea of the U.S. trying to take control of Canada, and whether they would support or oppose doing that. We asked that along with some other questions about some proposals Trump has made, and broadly on the support level, it's very low support for trying to take control of Canada. 13% of Americans said they support that.
That's good.
It is higher among Republicans at 27%, but it's very low among Democrats and Independents, below 10%.
We played the clip of what happened yesterday, and I realize this doesn't tie into the survey, which was done a couple of weeks ago. But based on what's happened since that time and up until now, did you happen to watch or see any of yesterday's meeting between Mark Carney and Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
And do you think at the end of the day, because I'm sure Americans, so it was on all the major networks, of course, last night as well, do you think that changes opinion?
It's really hard to expect that to change. I doubt it would change many people's opinions. This idea has been public. It wasn't a new idea that Trump really put forth. Obviously, putting it forth to Canada's leader is a different story. But the idea's been out there. And in our poll, over half of Americans thought Trump was serious about this, 53%. So it's not that this was something that caught people out of left field. One thing that's interesting, though, is that people range in how seriously they take it. So if you look at Republicans, people who affiliated with Trump's party, they are less likely to say Trump is serious about this. 35% say that.
Hold on, say that again. People affiliated with Trump, so Republicans say it's less serious or less likely that he's serious about this? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right.
Wow.
So overall, 53% of Americans think Trump is serious about trying to take control of Canada, but that drops to 35% among Republicans.
Okay.
And one dynamic that fits into really is that Republicans who support the things that Trump is trying to do, if you go item by item, they tend to think he's serious about that. But they tend to think he's not serious about the things they oppose. And Republicans oppose trying to take control of Canada. And so they similarly don't think he's serious about doing that.
It's interesting to hear you say that because I remember when this first started coming up, and this, goes back now at least a couple of months, this idea of annexing Canada. At the beginning, we would hear Donald Trump talk about this and kind of laugh it off as a joke, because no one took it seriously then. And then, of course, he kept repeating it every opportunity he got. And then we started saying, oh, my God, the man is serious. And then I had the feeling yesterday after seeing Mark Carney talking to Donald Trump, he made it pretty clear that, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen ever. And I thought Donald Trump actually was quite restrained in his answer back, which is like, I would have expected, well, you know what, you're just the prime minister, don't tell me what I can do, whatever. I thought he tried to Zelensky him, but instead he kind of nodded because Mark Carney put it into perspective while saying some things are never for sale, like where we're sitting right now in the White House. He mentioned Buckingham Palace as well. And I really had the sense, I know Donald Trump said never say never, but that's not 2 years, 3 years, maybe that's, 100 years from now, long after Donald Trump will, be, dead and gone. That was my takeaway from that. What was yours?
Well, I think it's clear that Trump fancies the idea, and he has a number of these ideas that he really likes, and he will repeat them despite plenty of evidence that they're not popular, not what most Americans want, not even what most people in his party wants. And you're right; it's hard to know how serious Trump is about an idea until he tries to put things into action. But he did seem to hear Carney yesterday clearly, and it was a very interesting moment to watch.
So I will point out the other country that he's thinking of taking over, of course, is Greenland, and he seems a lot more serious. I saw the interview he did with Kristen Welker over the weekend, where she asked him about using military force, and he kind of said, as far as Canada goes, he kind of laughed it off and said, not going to happen, or he said extremely unlikely. But in the case of Greenland, he seems to be doubling down on Greenland.
Yeah, and from our poll, views of taking control of Greenland are a little bit different. The support for doing so is a little bit higher. It's still very, very low at 22%. But if you look within Trump, the Republican Party, it's 45%. So that's much higher than trying to take control of Canada. And as far as seriousness is concerned, the poll found 68% think Trump is serious about trying to take control of Greenland, compared with 53% for Canada. So people do seem to differentiate between those two different ambitions.
Can I ask you, with respect to the poll, I know we've sort of talked around this as well, what did you take away as the biggest surprise in this?
Well, I mean, I think it's always surprising the degree to which people both believe Trump and take Trump seriously when he says things that are really unusual proposals. I'm surprised because I really just don't know until we ask, and we haven't asked many questions about this. So I think it's informative. It shows people are not doubting him. They don't think he's joking. And then the other part is just the degree of support in America with our partisan divides. Issues can rarely get beyond 60% popular or unpopular because each party really rallies to its side. These proposals are widely unpopular. 86% oppose trying to take over Canada. Other questions we asked about Trump trying to serve a third term, 80% oppose that. 76% oppose trying to take control of Greenland. 80% oppose trying to send U.S. citizens to prisons in other countries. These are unusually unpopular ideas.
Big numbers, as you're saying, statistically you would not expect. So maybe we take that as good news.